for our third live stream. Pretty much in this live stream, I just want to give everyone that's watching some product updates, and just I think we can have an interesting discussion about what guerrilla marketing is. I feel like learning a thing or two. See what you guys have to say. You have your buddy coming in on the stream real
Yes.
soon. I'm excited for that. But yeah, just real quick with the product. I think that right now we're just in a weird sort of phase where we're just on the tail end of product updates. We're tracking every single bug that we can possibly come across. Anytime a user runs into an issue, I have it set up, and I think this is going to require a little bit of iteration, like being able to trace exactly where in the code that the issue has occurred, what part of the system the issue has occurred. Right now, I'm just every time that an issue does occur, I just flag it and say, "Hey, there's an issue," and sort of like some some like basic messaging around it, but nothing like super in detail. So that's something I want to improve, so I can be able to so I can capture bugs right when they happen and fix them as quickly as possible. Because I think before we like really attack the market hard, we really need to get this in order and make the product as smooth and seamless as possible. And so right now we're in is a phase of sort of, you can think of it like beta, where we're still testing it out and making sure it's stable. And I think right now we're on the tail end of any product or sorry feature updates, and we're just really trying to lock all those in, do a lot of debugging, invite people to break things, and try to make it as stable as possible. And hopefully we can get that done in under a week. I thought we would be done with it by the end of this week, but I think we need to do it for maybe one more week and
Right.
just really tighten things up. And so yeah, I've just been going through the app and trying to improve the quality as things that I knew that needed to be improved. Like there was some artifacts in when a video would get rendered, there was artifacts in the frames, and
Yeah.
sometimes like it would have like little glitches. And so I figured out a way to improve that, actually fix that entirely. And so very happy that that is in production now. I think there might be some side effects with it. I think it sounds like the audio might be out of sync.
Right.
So I need to fix that and try to just keep iterating with you guys and making sure that it is as good as it can be when we really attack the market. And from a product or from like a marketing perspective, from a distribution perspective, Peter has been doing a great job at basically attacking SEO related tasks, and we've been working together to make some progress there. And it seems like we have gotten some traffic recently from a music visualizer site that
Nice.
listed us on the top 10 music visualizers, and that's been bringing some people in, and that's good. But yeah, so I think what we need to be doing is just really driving in a little bit of traffic, getting some data, figuring out where the holes are in the product, trying to tighten it up to the best of our ability, making sure the product quality is amazing, and slowly driving more people into the product, and then more and then more and more as the product matures and stabilizes itself. And that's pretty much the roadmap for us going forward. So as of recent, I would say not a whole lot has been added to the product in particular, but a lot of improvements, stabilization, like patches, things of that sort. So yeah, if anybody watches this, keep testing out the product, and let's work on this together and try to get it as stable as possible, get it running smooth, and get it running smoothly.
Yeah, I think definitely what you added about the alerts, I think definitely helps a lot. I think it's because it just keeps a track of what happened and who did it happen to, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
more
so
easy
nice to
to
have that.
yeah, it just makes it easier to tackle those issues without
Because I
having to
want to know
like
what's going on, right?
yeah,
I don't want to be blindsided by anything and have
no.
something lingering in the product that could potentially lead to user frustration, user churn, users not converting, all because we just didn't know. Like
Right.
there was a leak. It's like if you have a boat or a ship, and you would like to have a screen that gives you a detailed analysis of the health of the ship. If there are any leaks, any holes, any potential catastrophes. Whereas, like, if you do have a leak in your ship and you're not aware of it, it's going to slowly draw in water over time, and you're not even going to notice that your ship's slowly but surely sinking. And so, having a health monitor that's all of that gives you a report of what's going on in your product is really good. So I'm glad that we have that.
It's definitely nice to have it, yeah, for sure. And also, I
And
think
it'd be
it's
good for
definitely
users
yeah,
too,
yeah,
because anytime somebody has that issue, we can just go in and fix that for them. And hopefully there'll be a point where the issues are mitigated to almost zero. And
right.
from that point, then we can start to add on more features and go forward and go to the moon. So yeah, I think that's the inflection point that we're at, and yeah, so that's good. Well,
Yeah,
there
it
he
should be
is,
good. I think,
Joshua.
yeah, I think it should
Hello.
get you in.
Joshua's in. Hey, Joshua, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's exciting to have you here. And so recently, before you joined, we were just talking about product updates and just giving everyone the sort of the 411 on what's going on within the MotionBox products. But I'm excited to bring you on today and learn a little bit about you and get into some guerrilla marketing tactics and maybe see if we can learn something here and maybe sort of dive into this. And as we grow our company, we're trying to learn as much as we can about marketing and distribution, and especially in the early stages when I think guerrilla marketing tactics would be most wise to use. But I think you could probably use it in a small or large company. Um, yeah, I mean, why don't you introduce yourself? I don't know much about you. I know Antonio's good friends with you. I would love to learn about what you're up to and what you're focused on.
Yeah, absolutely. Antonio is a good friend of mine, and we've been speaking. I made this page maybe like 6 months ago, so we've spoken frequently
So
in that
you're
time.
quite new to the game.
Yeah, I'm still pretty new myself. I mean, I went to school for marketing. I've
Nice.
worked within a Fortune 500 company's marketing department. I've worked on smaller brands as well. So my experience kind of ranges depending on uh, who I was working with at the time. But and sorry if there's that little beep in the background.
The
Unfortunately,
burp.
I can't get rid of that. Yeah, something like that. um, but yeah, no. In terms of so you said you guys wanted to grow your page, correct? Or start
Well, I think there's always, first when you say grow your page, I mean, I think it's like there's always a reason behind why you want to grow your page, not just
right,
growing your page. I mean, ultimately, we want to make more sales, and I think that for us, Instagram is more for connections and community building and awareness,
right.
and we're not really necessarily focused on growing it to like getting large volume through Instagram. But yeah, I think it's important to just get the basics down and just use Instagram to meet people and connect with people and get some ideas going.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm sorry. When I said grow, I didn't even mean vanity metrics. I just meant like reaching a new audience
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and making sure the quality is content, right? And building genuine relationships because that's real growth. I mean, you could
Yeah,
have 100 followers, but if
Right.
you're any business or you're not networking on Instagram, what's the point of the 100K?
yep, exactly.
Yeah, I think a perfect example of that is, I mean, the first page that I had, I think that's how we, I think, connected. I'm pretty sure it was like right in that kind of peak in between that video that I released about
Yes.
a few people. That's what I remember. And I mean, that page had about 7,000 something followers. And when I started the new page, only 200 people came. So it kind of showed like only 200 people were the ones that actually were
Right.
connections out of the 7,000.
And that's interesting. I mean, that's really interesting to think about because I know that you started a new page. I didn't necessarily put that together, but yeah, I mean, what were those other, 6,800 followers like? What were they looking at? What were they doing? Yeah, I think social media it's gotten to a point where people, it's like anything else, right? Dopamine gets released in your brain. The more likes you get, the more followers you
Right.
get. But
Yep.
using social media and then running a business on social media are two very different things. And
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
a lot of the times, especially new entrepreneurs and new startups, they get lost in the idea that um, you know the more followers you have or the more likes that you have or more comments that you have, the better your business does, and that's not necessarily true. I think a
Right.
lot of bigger creators unfortunately have uh, kind of pushed that agenda, and I think it just spread like wildfire because I definitely know some accounts that and some people that have 2,000 followers, but they run their own business and they I've been self-employed for years now and they're very comfortable.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of like just how how you do that and how you're able to monetize it, because you can have 100K and still not drop, like, bring a single penny or have anything. It's just
Right.
numbers, and the reality of it is, like, some of those people, all they have is just the numbers. They
Right.
don't really have anything else. And then when you look at it, they're trying to sell you on their kind of scammy coaching programs just to make some money. Then they maybe get a few people that they buy their coaching calls, but that's pretty much
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing
Yeah.
about that too is that sometimes the numbers aren't even real.
Yeah,
Now, I
that's
don't
the
want to deep
problem.
dive into that too much, but
No.
sometimes they're not even real.
Yeah, we have talked about it before. It's just like
Yeah, I
it's
was
just a,
on Clubhouse today, and they were talking about this, and this is something that's been sort of bothering me for quite some time. Is just the manipulation and the superficiality of Instagram and social media, and it just, yeah. I mean, it's, you got to look at it as if it were an illusion, and a lot of times it is. And there's
Mm.
only a very small percentage of people that are actually using it correctly, and just be careful with what you believe.
Right.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And do your research. I think that's the first thing too. Is like understand where these people are coming from.
Right.
Like when did they appear? Because some people are coming out of thin air and they're like trying to say that they have experience on this, and that, but the reality of it is that they were doing something completely outside
Well,
of
I think
that.
it's a weird
Yeah.
thing where I like it, as a product maker, it's like sometimes I do see the folks out there with popularity, and it's like
Right.
I do get envious, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, like, it really does feel like a popularity contest. But at the end of the day, I think what I'm starting to realize is, and this is sort of not a realization, but it just makes sense. It's logical, right? Like, yes, you have to have the popularity, but you also have to have the product and the service to back it up too. So it's like it's a two-sided equation. It's a very hard problem to get right. And so just because you see somebody with popularity doesn't mean that they have the product or the service. And so just because somebody
Mhm.
has a product or service doesn't mean it's a two-sided equation. The popularity on there is just the distribution, and ideally you want to get popular by having a good product. At least that's what we want to do.
Yes.
Right. Right. And I think that speaks volumes because now in my journey, when I go on a new page or I see a new post, the first thing that I look for is the the quality of the content. Like, what is
Right.
it? Like, sometimes I'll read content and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I just learned something new today. Like, I have to
Right.
check
Right.
this out. And the account has maybe 1,000 followers, if that. So I think with time and experience, people start to realize, like, hey, some people are putting out really meaningful content, have really great products and services, but they just don't have the social proof that some other bigger creators have, and that's okay.
Well, see, that's another aspect to the game, though. It's like you have
Right.
to go out there, shake hands, and make connections with people. And I would say, that's something that we're learning to do. But that would be my advice. I'm not qualified, but I would say, like, from what I'm observing, is like you should go out there and you should go meet people and you should make connections and you should find other creators to help elevate your status as well. That's part of the game.
Right.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
think it's also just patience. I mean, I think that other page, I mean, 5, 6 months that I put into that, or probably more like almost a year. And I mean, I decided to just kind of throw it out, but I did take a lot of good connections like you and other people like Rhonda and people like that. And I think that's what makes it valuable, that I'm still able to connect with those people, still talk to them, still be like, hey, do you want to be alive? Hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And it's always possible to do that. And I think that's what everybody should strive for. It's just being able to have
Yeah.
those connections that you
How
can
do you
call upon.
find connections? Like, because it seems like there's a lot of superficiality going on where if you look at like some of these YouTubers, they're literally just like clout chasing, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
somebody like, if guys in the fitness industry will use people,
Yeah.
and you get into this world where there's a lot of deception and manipulation, and just it's just cold, like what do you got how do you guys feel about that? Because that generally, like, from what I can see, that's the way to win. But like, do you believe that there's a way to win and still be a good person and not like sabotage and backstab people, but still get on the platform and get connected with the people that you need to get connected with? And how so? Like, how is that possible?
That's a great question. Antonio, if you want to speak to it first, you can, or I can. It doesn't really matter.
Sure. I mean, I think for me, I think that it is possible. I think it's just the reality of it is that it will take you much, much longer than it does take to go the route of chasing those things. Like if you chase it and you do the whole thing, and specifically on Instagram, the 90 days, post every single day, blah, 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 whatever, get on engagement groups, do all the stuff that people don't want to tell you that they're doing, you can get to that point. You can have the social proof that you can kind of leverage a little bit. But if you actually want to stay kind of truthful to yourself and be honest with yourself and what you do, I think it's just going to take time. And instead of taking you 3 months, it might take you close to a year to do the same thing that they did. But the reality, in the end, you're getting better and higher quality connections than they have. That's,
Right.
yeah.
What are some examples that you've seen in the industry where it's kind of shady, kind of manipulative? Have you
Right.
seen that? Like, do you have any examples? Like, I would say that like a lot of what you see is, especially like I'm just thinking like Logan Paul and Jake Paul and all the madness that goes on in that world. Even like with the Kardashians, it's usually like a scandal or something like raunchy or
Right.
like sort of you know kind of like against the common grain or super extreme that tends to get people on the map, and people know this and they take advantage of this. But how do you feel about that?
I feel so. I think that's a great transition, honestly. I think you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of the times raunchy obviously sells, controversy sells, right?
Right,
And us as human beings, we're programmed to take to that. Like, you
Yeah.
see an attractive person, you see some sort of like crazy situation, and you just want to tune in. You want to see what's going on. You want to check it
right,
out.
right,
Um, but ultimately, I think, like for example, my a buddy of mine just started a podcast, right? And he's a beginner investor trader, and
right,
he came from a different angle because when people start podcasts, when people are selling things on Instagram, you expect them to be an expert, right? You expect them
Yeah.
to know what they're doing. You're buying something from them, you're tuning into them. He came from the actual opposite spectrum and said, hey, listen, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. I just started this 6 months ago. Sorry for cursing, guys. But any new
that's okay.
traders,
So he
any
was
new
just
guys,
super honest and transparent.
Yeah.
right? And
No,
like
you're
he
fine.
had over 300 downloads the other night. So
Right.
like all those other new people that are authentic and that are actually new kind of clinged on to the idea like, hey, this guy's new. He's not trying to sell me anything. He's trying to figure
Right,
it out with me. And
Yeah.
right.
yeah, I think
What
that's slept on a little bit.
do you think with that though you're able to transition into turning that into a sale?
Oh, absolutely. I think so because I was talking to another friend of mine the other day, and he was saying that, of course, to Antonio's point, I think it takes some time, but I think if people see where you started from and see your progress and see the
Right,
process, like you see everything firsthand, they're gonna see like, oh, he started where I was at. He equipped himself with the knowledge and experience that I'm looking to gain.
right.
Now, let me see what he's like. Let me see what he's
Well,
offering.
it seems like sort of Gary Vee does a fairly good job of this. I mean, he doesn't seem too over the top necessarily. He's not like posting pictures of women in bikinis, and he's not
Right.
posting raunchy stuff like clickbaity stuff. Maybe clickbaity stuff to a degree. I think
Hmm.
clickbaity can be okay. As long as it's tasteful, but yeah, it seems like he's done well just by being consistent and sharing his progress and parts of the journey and his two
Yeah.
cents. Like it seems like he does well, but he really goes after it hard. But it seems like a lot of people want to try to get there a lot more quickly, and they
Yes.
try to
Right.
use cheat codes to get there,
Right.
and that's the problem, I think.
I would 100% agree.
Yeah. I think the issue is just trying to kind of find the shortcuts behind it. And I think, I mean, I started posting again on the uh, Candy with Antonio page. Wait, did I come down?
Yeah, we lost him, but continue. He should join back.
Yeah, like the Candy with Antonio page. I think for me, I think it was something. I mean, I started posting again today, and I think my approach now is just not no niche, no specific like area, just whatever kind of comes to mind, something that I'm learning or that I learned recently,
It
and just
seems
sharing
like
it.
there has to be like a little bit of flair in your
Yes,
content. There has to be something that hooks people in. Like it's just
absolutely.
you know what I mean. Like there's this guy I watched. His name is Max Tuning, and he does a YouTube video where he thinks some of the like videos that he makes has really good content, but the thumbnail and the title is just not that great, or is not as great as the other ones, and he gets way less views and way less clicks. And so there's something to it where it's like, yeah, I mean, you might have some good content, but you have to do something to get people's attention. I remember watching
Yeah,
Undercover Billionaire with Grant Cardone, and so this is the most interesting lesson that I learned in the physical world that translates into the digital world that that he's using, the tactic that he's using, that the tactic that other YouTubers and content creators are using, is when he was trying to sell mattresses for the store, he would go out in the middle of the road and
Right.
literally block off the cars with the sign, and he would have like he had this like weird like pajamas on. He just looked silly, and he was just out there like in your face. You know what I mean? And that's sort of the thing that you need on the digital world, is something that's going to really like be maybe absurd in the way you word your title, or something that really gets people emotionally invested. And it feels manipulative though.
It
That's the
does.
problem.
Yeah.
But you almost have to use it, or you're just going to fall behind. It feels like, and then that's what everyone's thinking. So everyone's trying to one up each other and be more ridiculous, more absurd, and it just becomes worse and crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier.
Yeah, I mean that's a
That's
perfect
that's the
example. I
way to
think
think.
like a YouTube thumbnail type of example, like they kind of have to be clickbait because so many people scroll to so many videos a day. You have to have some like a specific thing that catches
Yeah,
people attention. Because I mean, you can have like great content. I think I heard Mr. Beast talking about it recently, where it's like
right.
there's a lot of creators that do have great content, but they can't grow because literally their thumbnails are not strong.
And it's
Yeah,
sort of a paradox, because you
yeah,
as a creator, you want to try to put good things in the world, and you want to,
right.
try and sell kale, right? Like healthy juices and healthy food, but all people want are McDonald's and Coca-Cola, and sometimes you got to give that to them, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. Is he in?
But I think that's a lesson in marketing that I've learned, at the very least, is you could have a good heart, you could want to sell healthy fit food, but at the end of the day, marketing is about sort of getting people what they want.
Absolutely. It's just finding like getting them in
And that's the hard
somehow.
thing, is like,
Yeah.
if you're a marketer, you don't really want to give, that's the thing, you don't really want to give them Coca-Cola, you don't really want to give them McDonald's, but that's the way to get them in. And then slowly but surely over time, you can walk them down the path of
Yeah.
good food and healthy habits and stuff. But, you just got to deal with it up front, is selling poison.
So sorry about that, guys. I lost
No
connection.
worries, no worries.
Oh no,
I
no
think
worries.
Melon
It's
sometimes has issues,
it's
but we're
yeah.
back on. This is a super chill live stream. We're just hanging out. No big deal. Not trying to have a formal structure or anything.
Yeah, it's got pretty loose structure.
Literally,
It's nice.
I honestly don't even want to care about the camera being on. I really enjoy talking about this, because
Yeah.
especially for me, like I was in the code editor all day, just like writing code. So now it's kind of nice to get away from that and just talk about marketing.
Wow, that's amazing. So I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I heard you guys mention that you had a product or
right.
of some sort, and I guess maybe I joined a little late, but could you like describe that a little bit?
Yeah,
Just
real quick. So I'll actually hand it over to Antonio. He's our number one user.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, I mean, right now it's kind of like a video collaboration tool. That's kind of the big thing that we're doing right now. And just trying to kind of help either agencies or people who have like a small company, small startup, whatever it
Mm,
might be, to collaborate on video. And also, we're offering just kind of the like creators the ability to add subtitles, to just general like progress bars and animated text. That's a huge thing, I think, for me as a creator. One of the biggest things that kind of drew me at the time to start a creator when it was called that, and now Motionbox, was just the ability to add animated text without having to use something like After Effects, and being able to add subtitles and all together into one place. And I mean, I think for me, why the reason I didn't learn After Effects, because it takes a bunch of time, and also I didn't really need that much. Like I didn't really need complex animated text. I just wanted something that catch people's attention and that had something extra there, while also having the subtitles and the progress
yeah.
bars and
So
all that stuff.
exactly. So our goal is to eventually be like a much easier to use After Effects, where there's a bunch of templates, a bunch of things that are just there for you. Like the idea is we want to make it feel like Legos for
Right.
video, so that you can just sign in, go to the browser, type in motionbox.io, and connect a few blocks together that are pre-existing, pre-made, beautifully done, and you just connect the blocks together and you have a video ready to go. Whether that's a video advertising your services, a video advertising your products, a video advertising an event that's happening, or whatever the case may be. You just basically want to plug these blocks together and get a video out the door in less than half an hour. And then
Yeah.
idea with that is you're going to want to collaborate with people at some point or another. If you have a team and sort of this hive mind behind the content that needs to go out there, maybe if you ever actually had a chat with Vice, next Vice employee, and if you look at these type of companies that are on like Snapchat, like Vice, all these like news channels that have uh, fast turnaround times where they have to, sort of broadcast the news within 24 hours or so. They're
Right.
putting together these videos that have cuts, they have subtitles, they have maybe watermarks and animated text and stuff like that. So we're making it easier for teams to produce that through the internet.
Yeah, no, that's great. Subtitles are a pain. They take a while,
Yeah.
so it's awesome. And I definitely know some buddies that do filming and video production and editing. So, I'll definitely put in a good word and do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. But right before you joined, there was we're talking about marketing, and the thing that I'm always at dilemma with when it comes to marketing is the fact that I always feel bad marketing because I know that like in order to effectively market, you kind of the analogies you kind of have to sell people on Coca-Cola,
Mhm.
sugary drinks that are really bad for your health that cause diabetes, but that's what people want, right? Ultimately, like maybe your intention is to sell them kale, to get them healthy, to sell them, fruits and all that stuff, but people don't want that. Like you're like, hey, I got this kale juice, and people are like, no, I don't give a shit. Like they just walk past it and they gravitate towards like alcohol and poison or sugar and really bad things. But that's a lot of times what works is how you get them in the door. You have to sell them on, something that's not necessarily good. That's kind of what you're seeing with YouTube titles and stuff is like girls with like bikinis and their tits and you have like a bunch of just drama that you see in the titles, but that's what people want. It's the poison that draws them in. But like how do you get around that? Like how do you if you know that that is a truth, whether I don't know if you believe that's a truth, but that's the truth that I believe. Let's assume that it is a truth, hopefully you believe that in that truth as well. If you do, like, how do you get around that? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Do you have any insights?
Um, I
Well,
think
first of all,
I think
do you
you.
believe that to be true?
Right.
No, I do, 100%.
Yeah,
And I'll keep it short and then, pass it over to Antonio. But I believe
Okay.
that somewhere in the lines of the poison and the chaos and the disruptiveness lies a small balance of logic and positivity, right? Because, yeah, the girls have their tits out and the bikinis and stuff like that, right? But, you know, as a man or whatever, you identify as or whatever you're into, it's natural, like a girl maybe not doing some of the things she does do and they're exaggerating it a little bit to boost up the sales, boost up the numbers. But craving something that you like is natural, and I think the better job you can do of finding that balance, the better you'll feel about marketing and the more creativity that you'll bring to the table. It's not an easy thing to do because everyone wants the raunchiness, like the extremes.
well, yeah.
But
When you start to see the numbers go up, we're like, oh, this is working, and then you're
right,
going to keep playing into that, and it's really hard when something's working and the money's coming in. It's like, well, yeah, I want to sell them kale, but they're really loving this Coca Cola, and it's making me a lot of money. It's
Right.
really hard to say no and transition to that.
well,
Absolutely. I think definitely. Yeah. I mean, anything like that, I think I can always kind of go back to someone like Mr. Beast. Like once he started doing the whole thing of giving money
mm,
and doing all that stuff, like he has been doing that for the last 2 or 3 years, and that's what has made him
Yeah,
literally
that makes
rich.
sense. Like
Like,
that's
yeah,
great to see that goodness does prevail. It's
yeah,
just I think that clearly what people like to see is things that are out of their normal reality, things that are absurd,
right,
and he used that understanding for good, which is good to see. Yeah,
yeah, and I think also it really does, like guerrilla marketing or any sort of marketing. It really depends on your audience because I'm in the middle of a course right now, and your audience is ultimately going to determine how extreme or raunchy or crazy your
yeah,
marketing should be or what you should be looking to target or get away with in a sense. So I think for you guys and um, with your products and what you're doing, I think that upfront research and that understanding of who it is that you're trying to target will help
absolutely.
your guerrilla
yeah,
marketing even more.
yeah.
Yeah,
Data.
that's something I've learned.
Yeah,
I'm a new entrepreneur myself, and that's one of the fundamental things that everybody should know is knowing your target. It's very important because everything else revolves around that.
Yeah, that's why I think we have spent. I mean, the last since I got like started working here at Motionbox and just like collaborating with Michael and Peter and Jake and everything else. I think the main focus has been trying to research, do a lot of like data and collecting kind of people, finding people, trying to figure out what are the kind of people that would want something like Motionbox. What are the people that are following the page, what content they want, and I think some of the biggest things I think for sure, just finding
Yeah,
those things.
As an entrepreneur or if you're a marketer, one of the best things that you can do, and this is a hard thing because it can throw you off, but you always want to have a pulse in the market. However, if you actually like really start to tap into what people are saying and what's happening, you'll start to realize that the market changes very quick. It changes
Absolutely,
is back. So the thing is, you always want to know. Hold on. Is he coming back?
I think so.
Okay, I think he's there. I think I can hear him.
Yeah. So sorry, guys. It just kicked me. I don't know.
No
It was
worries.
like loading.
There we go.
I think
Yeah,
we're
I'm not sure. Sorry, I was gonna try to read.
no worries. You can't control the internet.
Yeah, the
But
internet.
basically, what I was saying is that when you are trying to like understand who like how the market works, the lay of the land, basically, you always want to know like, and have a pulse on the market and be able to have sources that connect you with what people are thinking, what they're doing, and this gives you an advantage as an entrepreneur. You always want to be listening to like keep like having an open frequency, listening to people almost at bars, like what the hell are people talking about when you're walking around, almost doing some eavesdropping and listening to the patterns, listening to what people are saying, because this really gives you an advantage. But the downside, though, is the market and what people say or do changes every month or every 2 months. And
Yeah.
so they can throw you off. So you have to try to figure out what is the common consensus. How can I sort of get ahead of the curve based on the information that I have, based on what I've been listening to and studying, and how do I build something that's going to stay around for a long time? Because people do change their opinions and their minds. The market changes a lot. How do you build a foundational piece of technology or a product that will stick around for a long time that is also in demand based on what people are saying and doing? And that's the hard problem to solve as an entrepreneur. But that's the important problem to solve. And then once you know who you're serving, is there a large enough market? Will this market be around 3, 4, 5 years from now? What are the fundamental pieces that you need to build to be able to make an impact in that market? Because people change what they say or do all the time
Right.
on the surface. But what's the core of
Right.
what they're actually trying to solve? And can that stay around for a long time?
I mean, that's the $1 million question. That's a great insight. And I think to your point, I think there's like probably at least there's several different problems that have to be answered before you can figure that one out. And I think before you can build something that's going to be around for a long time, that's going to be sustainable, I think you have to start, from the ground up, build a foundation, even if it's a small foundation. I think that small following, that real following, um, or real audience, real fan base, whatever the case may be. I think
Ooh, this
that
actually brings up a
because like
question
okay,
though
back to
that I'm interested. Like,
yeah.
do you build the following first or do you build the product first?
I think I think you build the following first, depending on what it is you're
But
selling,
how do you know what you're selling?
or
Well,
what
I
it is
guess
the
like
product is.
be, for anybody, they need to know what they're interested in, right? Because you got to be
Right.
passionate about the thing that you're building or selling, whether it's coaching or whether it's a product. So
Right.
you got to have to know yourself first and what you're
Right.
into. And then if you have at least a rough idea, maybe not a
Right.
product yet, at least you can position yourself in the right market so that when eventually you do have a product, like I've seen fitness people do this. They
Mhm.
obviously love fitness. They built the brand with fitness, and then now they're building apps, right? They didn't do
Right.
that. They didn't build the app first, right?
Right. So I think, yeah, to your point, like I think the conversation inside your own head, like you as a person first, always will dictate, the plan, the strategy, the end result. So you have to
Yeah,
self awareness is a big word that I've been implementing
absolutely.
into my life. Once you're self aware of what you love to do and what you're good at doing, then that's when you find out, okay, who is my audience? And when I say who is your audience, it's not even like, is it a guy, is it a girl, is it an age group? Like it's a deep dive, man. It's what what political parties are they a part of? Where do they
Yeah.
work? How much money do they bring in? Like, what do they do in their free time? Are they married? Because all of those questions, and once you actually run through this practice in your own business,
Hmm.
you're going to see that, like, oh, okay, like, somebody that's married with 2 kids is going to have much less time than a single person. And then you're going to
Right.
start to notice, checks and balances across the board, and
Yep.
things are just going to start lining up for you. So yeah, I think to your point, like, you have to love it first, you have to do it first, and then you have to get the idea of what you want to
So
sell.
generally, we would say that okay, you've solved those problems. You
Mm-hmm.
know who you are. You know what it is that you want to build or what audience you want to target.
Mm-hmm.
So do so you would say that it's probably better, especially in 2021, to start building out that audience, just to get in front of the camera, to make some content, even if you don't have a product. You would say that it's probably better to just go and start building an audience. But now let's say, okay, let's assume that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that's the case, then what type of content generally works? I found entertainment or education. But how would you break that down? Let's say like I'm really into fitness. I
Mm-hmm.
love like going to the gym and looking good, but I have a unique twist. Maybe I'm going against the common grain and I'm saying, hey, you don't need to go and be a bodybuilder. Maybe you just want to go look good and be toned or something like that. Or maybe you
Right.
want to be sports specific type of athlete or something like that. So I know who I am, I know what I like, and I'm gonna start building content. Like, what should I start doing when I'm building content?
So that's also a great question. I think so. Content strategy is important. So if I were if I were in your case, or what I do with my own content, or what I do, with the client or somebody that I've helped out in the past, is that I literally make a month calendar, and I say, this week this is the focus, next week this is the focus, and then so forth and so on. And then this way, you at least know in your head, okay, this week is going to be educational based, next week will be entertainment based, and then you can kind of compare and contrast to see what your current audience is more into.
Yeah.
Not just on vanity metrics, but I know, like, when I make a good post, like, sometimes I get like a buddy or two or three of mine that'll, like, DM me and be like, this one was really good today. And that's why having that authentic, real audience is such an important thing, because you get real feedback.
Absolutely.
Right.
And,
So you
to also
need
add on to the point.
good. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. It's lagging a little. Sorry.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I think you're making that. Those are great points. I'm really interested. This is such a fascinating world.
Marketing, the best way to really describe it is psychology. Like, it's so
I
intricate,
say
and
psychology.
I know marketers and salesmen get such a bad rep. It's just so much, like, in its nature, it's just so creative, right? Because, like, I have other entrepreneur friends. I have friends that are starting their own business, or they're musicians, whatever the case may be. And the number one question for every single person, no matter what your industry is, or what type of entrepreneur you are, is, how am I going to market myself?
Yep.
How am I going to market my products and services? What is going to sell? What's going to bring people in? And no matter what you're doing, whether writing code, or doing something in the gym, or making a song, how am I going to get this out to the largest audience possible, and monetize? So I think it's
Yeah, I
very
mean,
fascinating.
you can't navigate this world without having a sense of salesmanship and marketing. Even if you're in the
Right.
dating world, for instance, there's a reason why there's a lot of overlap between the two because you basically need to get people's attention if you want anything that where people are giving you money or people are giving you attention or fame or clout or love even you got to get their attention first. If they don't know you exist,
Right.
then good luck. You can't really do much.
Right. And I think that's the first step in a lot of people's funnels. A lot of content strategies is really awareness. Before
Yep.
you can sell anything or make a product, how much people are aware of who you are exactly, what it is you do.
Right.
So, like, back to Antonio's point, and some points we've made already, is like, that's, it's a process. It takes a long time. But let's say that, you send out 10 to 20 DMs a day to similar accounts, right? Just for social media purposes. Let's just go low. One person out of those 20 DMs clings to you, and supports you, and likes what you like, and is interested in what you're interested in. If you do that for 1 year, you have 365 people theoretically for next year that already like who you are, like what you do, and know about your products and services.
Yep.
So now you work together with those 365. Hey, let's do some educational pieces. Let's shout people out. Let's do lives. And I think the next following year, that 365 doubles, if not hopefully triples, quadruples, and now at that point in the game, like you're really
Yeah.
monetizing because you have
I
hundreds,
love
if not
that.
thousands of
And
people.
that's pure hustle. And I think all of this
Yeah.
becomes exponentially easier when you have a strong premise and a strong why, when you're
Right.
reaching out to people and you truly believe that you have the gusto, the energy, the knowledge to be able to influence people legitimately in a way that might give them, a 5, 10, 15% increase in their life, whether that's through fitness, through mathematics, through coding, what if you're teaching them anything, or if you're providing them with something, maybe an experience, or a product experience, or you're helping them solve their problems
Right.
by creating something for them or teaching them something. If you truly know what it is that you're doing and how you're going to help them and why you're doing it, that's going to give you so much power when you're out there connecting with people. And if you truly have that confidence, then it's going to be so much easier to get the rejections, and to get the 19 no's and the one yes. And that one
Right.
yes, you're like, cool, like I got you. Like you're in my ecosystem. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to do everything I can. When you have that
Right.
strong why, it just becomes easy. Then it's literally just hustle at that point. Just go do the $80 strategy, go leave comments, go DM people, go reach out to them. And then it's all, said and done once you put in the work.
Right. Yeah. And that's why a strategy is so important, whether it's social media, content strategy, digital strategy, ad strategy. I think once you lay it out in front of you, and this is why companies have. I worked for a company that had a $15 million marketing budget for the year, and this is why it's delegated and it's its own job in itself because it is a hustle. It's a grind, and it's not something. It's not for the weak-hearted.
Right.
All those no's and all those ignoring DMs and stuff like that. But I just think that when you have a good product and, like you said, you believe that you're actually helping people, that's what's going to separate you. Because I know that I bought an e-commerce course, a marketing course, but like genuinely speaking, I spent $50 on an e-commerce course, right? And I know how to do things now that I didn't know how to do
Right.
prior. So it was an
Yeah.
investment in myself. I could go out tonight and spend $50 at a bar on like 2 drinks and like some fries or something, and I have nothing
Right.
to show for it tomorrow. So my new mentality is, if the product is worth it, if it makes sense in my life, if it's going to teach me something, I'll spend the money. And I think it's important for not only us, but any entrepreneur to find those people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there's a whole discussion around money in itself, but what money essentially is a tool, right? And, you're
Right.
as good as how you use your tools. If you use a hammer to
Right.
try to bake a cake, then it's probably not going to work. You need to know what the tool is, and how to use the tool effectively, and good
Right.
things will happen. That's
Welcome
smart. I'm
back.
glad you invested in yourself.
But
Thank
yeah,
you.
like in that case specifically, like I bought because I was a beginner, because I was interested, and because the guy I bought from shares his story, shares
Mhm.
his why, and was upfront about everything. And I
Right.
don't feel like I was ripped off. If anything, I've been inquiring about, his higher course because it did bring value. It's made me money. It's something that I didn't know prior to.
But I would say that does remind me of these course creators that I observed that were using deceptive tactics.
Mm,
That like there are some. I'm not saying your guy is, or anything, but this is the problem with the industry is that there are psychological hacks, there are psychological flaws that we have as humans that people exploit, and there are course creators that will continuously try to upsell you by creating a problem that you think you have that you don't actually have,
right,
and telling you
right,
that basically not really giving you much, just talking about how you have this problem. Here's sort of an illusion, and then that, like, yeah, this is, you still have this problem, so you got to upgrade to this, to like,
right.
then like now they talk about how you have this other problem, and it's just sort of this deceptive tactic that marketers will use to try to string you along and keep you retained and keep upselling you. So there's a lot out there.
Absolutely. I
You just
think
got. I think you just need
yeah.
responsibility as a consumer these days, I would say. Welcome back, Antonio.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. The computer just glitched out on my phone now. Yeah. We're here. We're here. Yeah, I think. I mean, marketing. I think that's what we're talking. Is like, I think one of the last things that I heard was like psychological wise, and there's a lot of it that kind of crosses the line between like ethical and unethical. I feel, and it's kind of finding that balance, as you were saying,
Hmm.
Joshua. I think it's just finding that balance between the two.
Yeah, I think you're going to have both ends of the
So here's
spectrum
the
out
thing too.
there. Nice.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say to that point. I think it's such an important thing to know who it is you're buying from or dealing with. So, like in my specific case, there was factors that I already set up it like prior to know if this guy was someone who was just trying to sell me or he actually wanted to help, like help other people, help people that started like him.
Right.
And once those boxes were checked off, I knew it was authentic. I knew I was comfortable with it. But to your guys' point, absolutely, you'll know after a few swings around the block who's just trying to sell you something and who will actually try to help you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it just breaks my heart because I live in San Diego and there's a lot of marketers and people that are trying to sell courses and like crypto people now that are popping up everywhere. And it just breaks my heart
Mm,
that they're putting up these fronts, these scams, and people are buying into it. People
Right.
that may not be the most educated
right,
people, that have working a very minimum wage, 9 to 5, spending whatever last bits of money that they have on these courses that aren't necessarily going to yield them any returns. And you see all these people that are
right,
winning in crypto and entrepreneurship game, but you don't see the people that get cheated or the people that are losing and all that. And there's a
right.
lot of it happening. And so it breaks my heart to see that. And it breaks my heart to see people, really profiting off that and, driving Lamborghinis and living in fancy
Yeah.
houses from cheating people. But that does exist and it exists like every day. And I see it all the time and nobody really talks about it, but it hurts. It hurts my heart, man, every time I see this.
I mean, yeah, I back when I first started social media, it's so funny that we're talking about this now. Um, I mean, I used to like get on my stories and like basically say what you're saying right now and try to perpetrate it so that at least the small following I had was aware. But it does
Right.
break my heart too, as somebody that doesn't come from a lot of money that also has that dream one day to quit my 9 to 5 and be self sufficient and not rely on an employer or a paycheck or some
So this
course.
this goes back to the whole cope versus kale talk. It's like, guys, get rich quick schemes don't exist. You want to get rich, you got to put in the work, blood, sweat, tears. It takes years. Nobody wants to hear that. They're like, no.
No.
I heard a guy on the Instagram. He's like, I get
Right,
rich in 1 month. Just got to do this, do that. It's good. I got it. I got it in the
right,
bag. Don't worry about it. They go and it
Right.
doesn't
right,
work. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh,
It's like
okay,
they're
well, yeah,
like,
that one didn't work. And they go do the next scam, the next scam, the next scam, the next scam. I'm like, dude, you're
yep.
wasting your time. They don't want to hear it. It's insane. Like that, but like sometimes that's the world. That's the way the world is. You just gotta accept it for the way it is. You know?
I did the new like get rich quick scheme would
right,
be the six-figure agency owner type. That's like the new aspect to I feel like the whole scammy ass like thing that goes on from people that started on YouTube or stuff like that or Facebook. It's now the people on Instagram like, oh, I'm a six-figure agency owner. And I think it's just I mean it's becoming one of those things where like it's like it kind of has that tint now where like it's like, are you really?
right,
Yeah.
Right,
So
right.
right,
yeah. So I think it's definitely
It's
like
so easy for people to lie these
yeah.
days.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because you can hide behind like social media, you can hide behind carousels and not really do much about anything else, and you can say like, "Well, I'm making $6,000 a month," but in
Yeah,
reality, maybe that's just like they come from generational wealth. Maybe they like someone else is funding their life
right,
entirely, and they
right,
have nice stuff. It's like, "Oh, I got this because I work and I have my like agency that makes $10,000 a month, blah blah blah," and you preach and preach to people, but in reality you just have money from someone else that gives you money every single month.
right, right. It's like you see a lot. I know a few of these girls that like have sugar daddies that they put on the front that like they just magically appear in Miami at Art Basel or magically appear in Europe or in Dubai, but really the dark shit that happens behind the scenes is not so glamorous.
Right.
A lot of people
oh yeah,
will. I've seen a lot of sellouts, man, a lot of sellouts.
Mm,
And I'm not calling like anyone in particular,
no.
but just like I feel like people want it so bad because what social media has done is like portrayed this world of like, just get there somehow. It doesn't matter how you get there, just get there. And that's all that's being valued right now, not about how you get there.
Right. Right. And like, for instance, if I decided to do this tomorrow, I could buy a bunch of fake followers. I could pay somebody from India, to create a month's worth of content for me. I could do so for dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Graphic design, Photoshop content, carousels, send them whatever I want. I could start lying to
Hmm.
people to try to scam them. But like I said, to me, it's just not. I think there are sellouts, and then there's the people that have some morals and integrity left. And yeah,
But then it goes
anybody can do
back
it.
on the
Anybody could
other end.
buy
My,
followers.
my,
Anybody
my
could pay
mind is
someone to make their
like, well,
content.
if you have too much integrity and you're all like just work hard mindset, a lot of times like construction workers work really hard. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people like waitresses and waiters work super fucking hard. But a
Right.
lot of times
Right.
they live very stressful lives, like check to check, very much like not knowing if they're going to put food on the table, and especially if you have a family. And so there's another end of that spectrum where it's like, well, sometimes you have to exploit psychology. Like you have to sort of do things that maybe aren't necessarily like with the most integrity. Like sometimes you have to make those choices in order to win the game. But it's at the same time, like I think like you need to be able to like be a shark sometimes, but some people just have zero integrity. Like you have to come at it with a good heart and good intentions, but sometimes you have to play the game. It's a hard balance. That's a hard balance. I don't know what to make of it, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those things where it
Well,
contradicts. It's like it's
It's
kind
a
of finding
paradox.
that
Life is a
in
paradox.
between. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Where do you draw the
well,
line?
you do genuinely believe. You genuinely believe
Yeah,
in your
yeah,
product, correct? So you have a product that's going to
yeah,
help people.
absolutely.
That much has nothing to do with integrity or selling or pitching. Your product is valuable,
Yeah, at the
right?
core,
So
like as long as you have the value, but sometimes on the surface you have to do
right,
superficial things, or you have to do things that get attention.
right,
That might be preying off psychology, like preying
right,
off your insecurities, your vulnerabilities. Not saying that we do that or we plan to do that. I'm just saying hypothetically, like there might be a situation where you have to do that to get some attention, right?
right,
And
right.
you might not like it, but you have to do it sometimes.
I mean, if I was a prospect, right, and I was video editing and I was looking for a product similar to yours, if you guys made an ad or a video of some hot chick, like a model, right, like doing some sort of editing or some getting creative with it, and you dragged me in that way, and I bought your product and actually used it, and I made money with it, or I grew my business off
Yeah.
of it, I don't feel like that's disintegrity or
It's not.
manipulation.
I think I'm just stubborn, and there's a part of me that's like, I hate that, but it works. And so sometimes you have to be like,
Right.
fuck, I hate that, but it works.
Right,
But you have to make the judgment
right,
call of like,
and just think of the
yeah,
end,
but
end
as long
result.
as you're not scamming. But see, the thing is, people will take it to the next level where they're putting up a hot chick and then also having a really like scammy product, or maybe like the product's not just scammy, but they literally ripped it from somebody. Like I see a lot of
Right.
YouTubers like they'll get a lot
Right,
of fame and attention and credibility for a particular subject or topic or speech that they literally ripped from somebody else, right? So it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's just like they got your attention through, fancy cars, right?
mm-hmm.
Super low integrity. And then they gave you content that was ripped entirely from somebody else, super, super low integrity. And then they'll try to like charge you for it on the back end somehow through, some product that, maybe they hired in India or something that they just put together and they put a premium ticket on it. And that's super, super, super low integrity. And then you ask for a refund and they don't give you a refund. That's super, 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 super low integrity, right? So there's people that are out there like
Right,
that. You don't want that for sure.
Yeah. I think it just goes into a territory of like, I mean, I feel like it's one of those things too where like there's so many people out there and it's kind of hard. That's why um, I have always told people like you need to be careful and do your research about people. You can't just go with the first person that it's
Yeah.
selling you on something, or the first person
But,
that.
You gotta be careful
Yeah.
these days. You know, reputation does matter. You know, maybe with the blockchain, people's reputations are going to be stamped. You can look up people's histories. You can see,
Right.
the
Right.
dirty deeds that they've done in the past. And so, especially with like a bunch of, webcams and everyone's being public now. I would not feel comfortable like being a snake oil salesman. I don't. I
Mhm.
hope and I believe that will be a problem probably for the next year or maybe 5 years, but eventually it'll be much, much less of a problem going forward, hopefully.
Yes.
I think a lot of really smart people are really trying to solve that problem. And I think there will be a death to snake oil salesmen in the near future. And if you are a snake oil salesman, you got to be very careful, very careful.
Yeah.
No, for sure. For sure.
Well,
Yeah.
this is
I
good.
think.
Any final
Yeah.
thoughts? Yeah.
I mean, I think honestly, I think it's just. I think as we had mentioned before, it's just finding that balance and finding somewhere that it uses a little bit
Well,
of that.
Antonio, let's ask a question to
Yeah.
you guys. What's the most clickbaity thing you guys have ever done?
Oh man. Yeah. When do you want to go first? I'm trying to think. Like.
Yeah, what's the most clickbaity thing that you're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
man, this, ah, fuck, I don't know why I'm doing this, but it's gonna work, and it actually did work.
Well, I mean, I
Yeah.
use Twitter as well. I guess I'll
Okay.
use this example. I mean, I don't know if it's so much clickbait, but I did so in hopes of uh, getting more followers and
Right. Right.
tuning people in. So I'm an investor. I invest in a few stocks across the board. One
Right.
stock in particular happens to have a community behind it on Twitter.
Right.
I made a video, a minute-long video talking about the stock, and didn't really say anything groundbreaking. Didn't release any news. Didn't
Right.
tell people, what they didn't already know necessarily. So I think I put something in the caption like, um, if you're an investor, this is a must
Right.
watch
Right.
or
Right.
something, and then like the hashtag or whatever. Um, it wasn't a must
Right.
watch.
Right.
It was a nice watch. It was, but I used that word that people would watch it, and it worked. I mean, I
But
got
see,
5,000
that's
views
the
on it.
thing.
I have about 100 followers.
You as the creator, I mean, you're making the content for a reason to get clicks and to get likes and to get watches. So if you
Right.
know one is going to perform better than the other, you're obviously going to go with the one that performs better. That's a no-brainer.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my example. Not that I really so much clickbaited anybody, but I definitely
But it seems
exaggerated a little
like
bit to
there
get
is
some
no
people to
other
tune
way
in.
around it. Watered down, tame
Right.
titles don't win. Period. And so it's like
Right.
you just
Right.
can't do it. No matter how much you hate the fact that people are so lured into clickbait. I get lured into clickbait titles too. It's like we're we're
Yeah.
we're we're preaching like how much we hate this, but we fall into the trap as
We're.
well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if we're super conscious of it, like
Right.
I'm super aware of this, but yeah, I still fall into it. So it's like, fuck it. It's like alcohol. Yeah, I know it fucks my liver
Right.
up, but fuck it. It's Friday. I'll probably go have some kombucha beer later on. So what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
People
I
are
mean, I
like that.
think
So
honestly. Yeah, I think honestly, like, I mean, I think my example. I mean, I guess there's like two different ones. It's like I feel like the main one the first one comes to mind, and this wasn't done on purpose at all. But after I posted it, there was a video that you found me by, Joshua. It was this is about big creators in question mark, big accounts and creators in question mark, and sorry, like in quotations. And after I posted, I realized like, oh shit, this is like the title and everything, and the thing is super clickbaity. And what happened after was just basically a unraveling of like a swarm of people just showing up.
Legendary
Uh,
though.
that's a good thing. That's a good thing,
Legendary.
right?
yeah, I mean, it was good, both a good and a bad thing. And I think
That
it's
was
just
that was a
because, I
turning
mean,
point for you, wasn't it?
yeah, that was one of the big things that I think changed my perspective on people on Instagram, specifically the carousel community. And I mean, I kind of lost respect for a lot of people, I feel. And then I also
Right.
gained respect for a lot of other people too, as well. So I think it was a turning point just in general. It made me realize, like, what am I doing? I was creating so much content and just creating kind of repetition of what everybody else was doing. And for the most part, I mean, I was kind of trying to go for the clickbait stuff a lot of the times
Right.
because it was working. as you said, like it does work for the most part.
Right. Right.
Right.
So why
Um,
not do it all the time?
I think what people end up realizing at some point,
That's an
you're gonna
assumption
either,
though, because like
yeah,
I thought that too, but I'm looking at some of these YouTubers. There's this guy, How to Beast, and his videos just get more and more clickbaity. Like,
right,
and people still click on. I mean, yeah, it's just like it's the same crap. It's like we're breaking up again, or something like where he's gonna like break up with his
right,
girlfriend, or almost like implies that every single time. But he obviously doesn't break up with his girlfriend. It's just like something in the video. It's like we went with green hot sauce today instead of the red hot sauce, or something like that. But the clickbait, it's like almost like they're gonna break
right.
up. You know what I mean? But everyone like falls in the trap every fucking time. It's like it's a
I
weird
think,
psychological hack
yeah,
that like it's a weird hack. You can be
I
super
think,
aware that this is clickbaity, but still click on it. It's a weird thing. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I think one of the main things I feel like how maybe that works specifically. I haven't seen those videos, but it probably works just because maybe there's some sort of like comedic aspect to it or like absurdity to it, which in turn, like although you are clickbaiting people and you're kind of bringing people into the same shit that has worked for years, there's still something there that is like that brings some sort of entertainment to people, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's like
Yeah,
my best analogy to this. When I used to go to the dentist back when I was like in my younger years, there was always a mystery box after I would go get my teeth cleaned or whatever in the back, right? And it was the shittiest toys in the world, but it was a mystery box, and you'd have to go in and you'd have to
right,
draw a toy out. And even though the toys were shitty, I was always excited to go to the mystery box because I never knew what I was going to get. The
right.
excitement of it being a mystery. That's why Christmas is so amazing. Like you might get clothes every year for Christmas, but you never know if you open that, it might
What it
be
is.
what you
Yeah,
know. So I think people like the mystery, right? So it's like it's a clickbait, even if the gift itself might be like kind of meh. It's the excitement of like unraveling the mystery.
yeah. I mean, I think yeah, like I mean, going back to the same post, and I think also Mr. Beast and stuff like that. I think with my post, just the specific big creators quotation kind of brings attention of like, ooh, what is this about? And then for someone like Mr. Beast, there's a recent video that he did. It was like I spend or I spent like 50 or 72 hours buried, and I'm like, you did what?
Yeah,
And I'm like, okay, I want to see what the hell happened in that. And the video is actually like it's kind of like at some point like I finished reading the video. I was like, this video is kind of boring, but why? How did it kept me
right,
engaged?
right.
It's just
But
the
like
like
I feel
yeah,
like we should all take a tally and
right,
write down every time that we saw something clickbaity, we clicked on it,
right,
and the content was like, it's all right, kind of boring, but
right,
didn't really live up to the hype of the clickbait. I wanted to start
right.
taking a tally, and it's probably going to be 100%.
Oh yeah, I think, and I think I looked back. I sat there. I was like, what kept me watching this video? And it's just like the idiocy of him just being there, like, oh, I have to pee or I have to go to the bathroom, but I
Right.
don't want to pee in a bottle. And he's like, I'm just here trapped. I can't even barely move my legs. And you're like,
Just
oh
to
my
fit it.
God, like
Well, dude, I
this is
think
so
the
like
thing is,
nerve-wracking.
life can be so dry and boring on the day to day,
Right.
and so routine
Yes.
oriented. So anything to like shake your reality a little bit kind of hooks you in,
Hmm.
and that's really what it is.
Absolutely.
But it's like, yeah, it's just being able to understand psychology. That's what marketing is, I would say, and being able to somewhat exploit it. You have to be comfortable with somewhat exploiting it because there's no alternative, really. Doesn't seem like there is. But as long as
Yeah.
you have good intentions and you can use the superpower with great responsibility, or with great power comes great responsibility type of thing,
Yeah.
and that's really what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a I forget the name. I'll try to send the YouTuber's name to you guys, but his whole thing is that he unravels things off the dark web. He buys random stuff
Yeah.
off the dark web, and like while while it's clickbaitish, like in terms of like the caption or like the title, he'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I almost threw up off this." I mean, technically speaking, we're human. Human beings are curious,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it's not like he's lying because
Right.
sometimes I've sat there like for like an hour watching it, and sometimes the shit that you buy off like he's also going through the journey with you. So I thought that
Right.
was
Right.
very authentic. I don't know. I just thought that was awesome that
Yeah, so
somebody
you're
was
saying
doing
you
something
can
like
do it
that.
in a way that you understand you're creating some sort of clickbaity, but it is congruent
Right.
to the video and what you're gonna get and whatnot. So Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense.
I think the mystery in his videos and his content is transparent. So I
Yeah.
think when you're more transparent and authentic with it, I think it
So it
feels a
sounds
lot more
like to
comfortable.
me, if you don't use a title like that, it's almost a missed opportunity. If you're a newbie, right, and maybe you actually do
Yes.
have something exciting or raunchy in your content, but you're not actually like putting that in your thumbnail or your title, it's
Mm,
really just a missed opportunity.
right. I agree. I
I
agree.
agree too. But
So I guess conclusion
I
is
also,
it's okay.
yeah. And I think also going based on what you said about like the curiosity or the journey, like I can sit for like hours watching like unboxing videos. And they're probably one of the most simplistic videos I've ever seen in my life. Like it's literally
Right.
someone with a knife
Right.
opening a
Yeah,
damn box of some product, pulling out some foam,
but it's
pulling a
new,
product
it's
out.
fresh, it's shiny.
Right. And then you see them peeling out like the cover of the phone, and they took a
Yeah,
shot like very nicely with the camera, and it keeps you engaged. And then you sit there and you're like, I literally spent 10 minutes watching someone unbox a product that I myself
yeah.
have.
I got to be careful with that because I'm like, holy shit, life
Yeah.
is short. I only
Yeah.
get so many 10-minute blocks in my life. I can't be doing that. It's hard. I mean, with content these days, sometimes you
Yeah.
just get sucked up into this vortex. Next thing you know, it's like Tuesday,
Yeah.
Oh
and
yeah.
you started it on Sunday. Yeah,
YouTube's
Yeah.
algorithm is, yeah, they know what they're
Yeah.
doing.
yeah, yeah, man. But I guess we all want to win at the content game, and I really only think there's like a very small percentage of people that are truly winning. That are getting the attention, also selling the proper like a good product. But like there is no altruism. There is no good company. Like even like Amazon has their dark things that go on. Even Apple has their dark things that go on. And it's just
Right.
very hard to be pure. Like you can't really be a Puritan.
Yes.
But I guess the best thing that you can do is just try your best.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
I
I've got
mean,
to go, but
yes.
thank you
All
so much
right.
for having me.
Thanks for being on the live stream. We appreciate you and your insights. I
Yeah.
thought this was a really good conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that we could do it again soon, guys.
Yeah, stay
For
in
sure.
touch. All right,
All
man.
Stay in
right.
touch, man.
Take care.
Peace.
Peace.
All right, Antonio. Any final words?
Um, Honestly, I think it's one of those things. I think to me, um, I'm always just on the look for like how to find that balance between like the clickbait and the like integrity of things, and trying to find a balance between the two, trying to kind of find that middle ground where there's like a little bit of that attracts people in, but I'm still delivering on what I promised in the title. I'm
Let
not
me
trying
ask
to
you this
trick people.
question. Is that I always have this debate with myself. Is like, okay, we know this is. I mean, this is sort of what works. We know that there's clickbaity
Right.
stuff, raunchy, exciting stuff, almost like sort of it's almost like porn to a degree. It's like a dopamine spiking thing, and generally that works. And a lot of times if you get on in front of the camera and you provide value, you whether that's entertainment or education, you get a following eventually when you crack the code. Okay, but the question is like, to me it does seem like a lot of work. It is very draining psychologically. It can be very draining energetically, like in terms of like the things that you have to do, go buying the camera, setting up the camera, recording the video, editing the video, coming up with different creative ideas. It's a lot of work, right? The question
Right.
is like, is it worth it? And why? Why are people fighting so hard for this attention? Or what does that mean? Are people just really like seeing that attention is a currency and really truly believe that they can sell things in the back end, or are people just attention whores? Is it a little bit of the two? Do people just want fame? Is it just people seeing it as an opportunity, as Hollywood's breaking apart, that people can now be their own publication and become celebrities on their own will, on their own efforts? What is it like? What do you think is driving all these people?
I
What
think it's a
drives
combination
you?
of all. I think honestly it's a combination of all those things. I think for other people, I think it's definitely like that thing, because you see so many people nowadays that have been able to become. I mean, they have their own agencies, they have their own like media companies that are very
Right.
small. They're creating content like crazy, and you see so many people doing that on Twitch, on YouTube, Facebook, on Instagram, Clubhouse, whatever the platform might be. And I think it just drives people because there's that dream or sort of like look up of people that you see that are like they're making X amount of money, they have this amount of fame, people recognize them, there's
Right.
recognition for them, there's attention that comes with that. There's a
And
certain sort
people
of
want that.
yeah,
People don't admit it though. But I think,
yeah,
but low key, that maybe this is like some Freudian shit. But like low
yeah,
key though, I do believe in a lot of Freud's philosophies and beliefs, and he believed that a lot of human behavior was driven by sex, right? And that like great works of art, buildings, innovation was all driven by this sort of primal drive. And it seems like a lot of it is primal. Like if you are famous, you might have access to certain mates, right? If you're famous, then you might have access to certain resources, to certain social circles, to networks, to things like that, right? So it seems like
yeah.
that's a huge driver of it. When you have access, you're basically in God mode. You can go hang out with the
Oh yeah.
Kardashians. You can go hang out with Kanye. You can go anywhere. You can go to the VMAs. You can go, once you have when you unlock a certain level of access.
There's so many possibilities. I mean, I think I keep going back to Mr. Beast. It's like he has so much money now, and so much like power that he's now starting his own like media company. He's investing in other YouTube creators that are already kind of
Right.
growing.
Right.
And you get to a point where you literally can have 6, 7 YouTube channels, and you don't have to do so much work anymore. Once you get that one channel or that one project that blows up, and you have that
Right.
credibility, and people know who you are, you can drive the traffic anywhere you want, even if it's nothing related. Like he has a gaming channel, he has a philanthropy channel,
Yeah.
he has the like React channel, and none of them have too much in common other than it's just him and a few other people that like
Right.
that are friends with
He
him.
understands the game well. And it seems
Yeah,
like there's a few moving parts. You got to understand the game. And it seems like you have to really truly understand why you're even playing the game. Because for me, it's
yes,
sometimes like, it's like, oh, I want this so bad. I want to go do it. But then I realize, why do I really want it? Is it just because I want to have access to more mates? Is it because I want to have like, the ability to be a part of any social circle? Or is it some superficial shit that like, maybe I just want to go party in the Beverly Hills mansion
mhm,
parties? Like, do I really care about that? Like,
right,
sometimes I do, and then sometimes I don't really give a shit about that. I just want to build something amazing. I want to feel
same,
good about that, and I just want to go surfing. Like, but then
yeah,
I feel like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Sometimes there's another part of me that like I want access. I want to go hang out with like super wealthy, interesting people. But it's like I guess maybe like what I truly want as I age, I ask this question, I start to understand the answer a little bit better. And what I truly want, I think, is to be humble, is to live a life
same,
where I'm healthy and I can go do things like physically. I can go out and surf and go out in nature, and I can use my mind to invent things and build things that are complex enough and challenging enough, but useful. Like that's why I really wanted to build this tool. But then I also want to somehow leverage that because I do want to meet interesting people. Like I really want to meet
yes,
brilliant scientists, and I want that access, but I don't want it from a superficial level. I want it from more like, yeah, obviously I want to meet all kinds of people, but specifically I think meeting interesting people and having the access to meet those people is what influence does. And
right,
you should know why you want the influence, not just because you're some power hungry insecure kid that wants
right,
to dominate the world. Like that's dangerous. But as long as you truly know why you want that influence or why you want that level of status, then I think it's much more healthy, especially if it's coming from a good place. And that's my 2 cents on that.
yeah. I think for me, it's kind of one of those things like I don't want all the big fame or whatever the fuck comes with that. I just want to be able to live a comfortable life and be able to not have to worry too much about how am I going to pay like next month for stuff or do I need
Right,
that like I just want to live a life where I'm doing something that I love, that I'm creating things that I do. Like I have so many ideas for YouTube channels for content,
right.
but some of it at the moment it's not like doable just because I'm just one person.
So that's interesting that you're
And
you're very
yeah,
much an artist. It's like a musician that's in love with his work, but then there's a dilemma because
right,
you love your work, but you're getting paid peanuts at your local
right,
bar where somebody that is not much better than you is being able to live in a mansion or is able to have
right,
access, right? People will just want access, right? But
yeah.
the balance is you want to be able to do what you love, but also have some access, right?
Yeah, like I mean, with my YouTube channel and Twitch, like the tech channel and Twitch, those are two things that I love. Twitch, I make 15, $20 a month from subs. Not bad. I mean, it covers for like some game, like a game or like one game that I can buy a month or something like that, or at least
Yeah,
partially. YouTube, I'm just doing tech reviews for literally nothing.
you just love doing
Um,
it.
yeah, I just love doing it. I mean, I've always been passionate and love tech, love getting new little gadgets and whatever the new phone that comes out that that I get it, or the new like a new microphone that I get because I'm like, well, I want to improve my
See,
content. So I'm
that's nice.
yeah,
That's humble, healthy. But see, the thing is, a lot of people in this world are egomaniacs,
right,
and a lot of people aren't just that humble. They have to do the channel, the YouTube, and to build the influence so that they can essentially dominate the world, right? Like
right,
you see, like the Kanyes or the Logan Pauls or
right.
whatever. It's like they have so much power, but they're hungry. They
For
lust for it.
more.
They think I think you see a lot of that with social media, but it's just interesting. I think the people that don't win at this game, but okay, I would say like my final thoughts are at least they're very like much uh, understanding that that's their why. Like maybe they're not as power hungry as maybe I see it, but they seem pretty power hungry. But at least they're very obvious and they own up to that and they want to get there fast and they'll do crazy things to get there because that's truly their why, their purpose. That's what they want. Whereas like creators that I don't think necessarily like quite make it is because they don't have their why. Maybe they're like lost between the weeds. Like they're just doing it because they think they need to be doing it, and they don't really have a strong why, and that makes them feel like they're fumbling around a lot. But if as long as you know your why and you're happy with what you're doing, and uh, again, you know your why, then you probably be successful in one degree or another. Because you don't necessarily need to have 100,000 followers to be successful, or a million. You can have
No, you
100, you
don't.
can have 1,000, but as long as you know your why is I just want to create, and I just want to share it with
Yeah,
a few people, and then I'm happy with that. That's you're serving your purpose. If your why is like I'm an egomaniac and I want to go
right.
crazy, then as long as you know that's your why, then and you truly believe that you'll do the actions and you'll most likely lead up to where you need to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think for me, like, if I get to the point where I'm able to have influence, even if it's just 10,000 subscribers in YouTube or whatever it might be, or have enough Twitch subscribers to have extra income, that's great. And I'm seeing kind of like a long-term thing that I love doing. I don't mind doing it for like very little or none, like at all. I do it kind of like extra time whenever I have time to edit a YouTube video. I'm like, okay, I have an idea. I'll record it. I'll edit it. I'll post it. Um, and just learn from it too, as well too. So that's also like a learning experience. There's so much that I've learned from streaming on Twitch, from doing YouTube channels. It's something
Yeah,
that I apply back to what we're creating at Motion Box, and what just like overall it just allows me to develop more skills.
yeah.
And yeah, and I think the other thing is just for me, I think what I was gonna say is that when I see other people that are power hungry, and I think that's fine. I mean, if you want, as you said, like if you want that fame, or if you want the million subscribers and you want the platinum or the whatever their plaque on YouTube, then go
Right,
for it. And but I think my approach is kind of similar to the Alpha Gaming channel, which is from that dude that I had mentioned before, Harris Heller, and he keeps creating content on that YouTube channel for the Alpha Gaming for like 2 or 3 years, doing nothing, like $0. And then all of a sudden, just one video that blew up that took him to now him being able to live out of that and have like multiple businesses and do more things that he wants to do. And that's kind of a goal of mine, like long term, is just being able to have another YouTube channel that's gaming wise, and have another YouTube channel that I do more
right,
like stuff that is bigger that I can't do at the moment because I don't have someone to hold a camera or people to help me edit multiple videos.
right.
Um, it's kind of like just I think it goes back as you said, like the why. I just want to create content that is both
I think
entertaining to other
that's really
people.
healthy. I
Yeah,
think that's where a
yeah,
lot of people want to be is just doing what they love and being able
yes,
to meet a certain lifestyle standard doing what they
right,
love. And everyone's lifestyle differentiates. Uh, but
absolutely,
as long as you can get what you need for your lifestyle, whether that's just 2 bedroom apartment, 3 bedroom apartment, whatever it is, but you are able to live in the city that you want to live in the area that you want to live in, and you're doing what you love to be able to provide for those things, and you're able to do that for a very long time, That's what I think most people want.
Absolutely.
So
Fully agree.
if anybody
Yeah.
sees this and you don't know your why, maybe start there. Just like, what is it that I love? If you don't know what that is, go figure that out. And
Yeah.
then it's like, what can
Try
you
shit out.
do to
Yeah.
to get money for that thing, and how much money you need to live the lifestyle that you want. And then you have your why. Some people they want to be millionaires, billionaires. Some people they just want to make 50, $100,000. Whatever it is, you just gotta know that answer and you'll be good. You'll be all right. I think a lot of people are lost. And if you just know that
Yeah.
answer, you'll be all right. You'll be tight. You'll be solid. You'll be
Yeah, and
set.
patience also too. I think it's just that's yeah,
That's the
patience
thing
is the biggest thing.
that's coming back
Yeah.
to these get rich quick schemes. Is people are like, well, I don't know. Well, this is the real problem. Is they don't know their why, and they don't really understand. They don't have patience. So it's like that's a real problem because it's like, well,
Yeah.
okay, I just need money, but they don't know how much money. They just know that they need money, and then because
Right.
people take advantage of lost people, gullible people that are flowing
It's
around that
also
don't know.
yeah. Yeah, well, no, I mean also now that you say that reminds me like also it's like we live in an economy that doesn't like so many people at the bottom like at the bottom that are doing a lot of the service work. They get paid garbage, and they're not even
Yeah,
getting paid enough to be able to pay for literally to a place to live. Like how
right,
ridiculous is it that we have people here in LA and it's like fucking depressing every single time that I drive through it. And there's so many people here in LA that are like, oh, the dirty people who are living in the streets. And like they don't have another like some of them are literally like not that it matters, it's like there's so many people that just lost everything because of the economy. They lost everything because they got laid off, and there's not much they
right,
can do about it in terms of that. And then the people like those marketers take advantage of those people because they're vulnerable. The
right.
economy and the government has fucked them over multiple times, and they find themselves so desperate for a quick way to get themselves out of that. And I think it's just so like to me every time that I see that it's just like wow, you really have so low of a like just empathy for people that you're such a like an asshole to do something like that. This kind of goes back to me.
Yeah, it's a hard thing because yeah, there's two ends of the coin. Some people they sometimes they can't help themselves, and it's like there are people though like where you're trying to lead them to fit or teach them how to fish, so to speak,
Right,
but they just want you to give them the fish, right?
right.
And some people are they just won't learn how to fish, and that's the problem in itself. And so it's like if somebody is like super stubborn and will is not willing to learn how to feed themselves, that's a real hard person to work with. But then there's other people that are hungry to learn but are being misled. Maybe don't have the highest IQ in the world. Maybe cannot necessarily think for themselves, but are hungry and are determined and are constantly being steered in the wrong direction for somebody else's advantage, right?
Yeah, and just lack of accessibility and just lack of, I mean, a lot of gatekeeping also too. I feel like there needs to be a lot more done to like give people more access to certain knowledge, to certain like things to be able to learn those things. Because when you
Yeah,
have so
I
much,
agree.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that my concern though is if you solve that problem, which it's a problem worth solving, I don't think you entirely solve the problem because even
no,
with because the thing is like realistically, if you just get a phone, most people can scrap up a few $100s a month, and
right,
you have internet access, 3G, 4G, 5G. You can pretty much get access to any information you want in the world. The problem
right,
though is, yeah, for some people it can be really hard for them to find that information. They could probably use a service to help them get there in an organized, structured way. But even if you did have that, a lot of times you'll have people that just won't follow a curriculum. They
yeah,
won't you know like you're literally teaching them how to fish, but they just won't learn. And
right,
so it's a problem. Like some people need to be able to like think for themselves, and it is hard because we live in a capitalistic society where you can't just hand things out. You have to kind of earn it, but at the same time, sometimes it is hard to get an advantage. And so I
yeah,
think like it's a two-sided equation. Like you need to give more advantages, you need to give more opportunities, but at the same time, when the opportunity is there, you got to go get it. You got to go take it.
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyways, this was great though. Now we're just kind of going over time here. I
Yeah,
gotta get back to some coding stuff. I really appreciate you putting this together, and
no
looking
problem.
forward to next week.
Yeah, same.
All right.
Definitely.